Championship weekend continues for the Cup Series here at Phoenix Raceway as we get ready to set the field for tomorrow afternoon's championship race. That's right, qualifying for the Cup Series about to take place. And it is single car qualifying, 2 laps for each car. This format hasn't been used for almost half the season. So 2 laps, the fastest time wins the pole. Almost a throwback to the way qualifying used to be. Steve, as these teams head out onto the racetrack and we see Ryan Newman, the first one out there, what is it as far as mentally that these championship teams are looking for in this qualifying session?
Well, I really think they're just looking for a solid starting spot. There's no guarantee that starting up front makes for a good day, but there is a guarantee that if you qualify in the back, you're going to be in more risk at the start of this race. We're going to see these guys 4 and 5 wide into turn 1. You know, those championship 4, they kind of want to be able to tiptoe their way into this race, not have an accident early. So, you know, just I call it a solid day because this is a track where we see one little wiggle can cost you 3-4 tenths of a second. That'd be 15 or 20 spots.
All right, Junior, Jeff, as far as mentally for a driver when you get behind the wheel in this qualifying session, if you're fighting for a championship, are you a little less nervous when you're behind the wheel in this qualifying session?
Well, I think you're always nervous when you go out to qualify because I think this is the one time when you drive a race car where you have to be perfect and you have to maximize everything that the car can give you and everything the track can give you. You almost have to guess on what the track's going to be like because it is always dynamic with temperature and so forth, shade and sun. So it's really difficult to go out there and be perfect, be correct, give your team everything you can. And it was always kind of frustrating. Sometimes you were successful, most times you were not.
Yeah, when you drive in the corner and the car does exactly what you want it to do, it builds a ton of confidence. And then with this 2-lap qualifying, when it doesn't do what you want it to do, you have to make some adjustments. You have an opportunity to make your car do better things based on what you do as a driver. And you have to learn on this first lap what it does well and what it doesn't do well, and then make an improvement for the second lap.
First lap run was Ryan Newman. He posted the time of 26.661 on his first lap, faster on his second lap at 26.57. LaJoie now out on the track. LaJoie with Spire Motorsports. Steve, I think as far as the season goes for Corey LaJoie, it's been a positive.
Yeah, I think there's been some positive runs. Darlington, he was very fast. Martinsville in the spring, they had an accident, but he was up front. I think the end of the season, they've had a few bumps in the road. This is an okay qualifying effort. He was decent. What was he in practice? Somewhere inside the top 20. We'll see where that shakes out.
Improved on what he ran in practice by 0.3 of a second.
Returning to this car next year, guys, I think that's a big deal for this team to have Corey LaJoie coming back, something to build on. Learned a lot this year. Now that he can apply that next year. Whole new car next year, but still learning Corey LaJoie, Corey learning the team. They'll be much better. Looking forward to some good things. Yeah, the 66 car, guys, Timmy Hill, he had some kind of a problem.
There you see Timmy on pit road coming to the aid of his crew, trying to find somebody to give him some help. Obviously lost power or something on the racetrack. They'll see if they can get that remedy. What's the protocol here, Steve, for a team that has an issue like this?
So if he hasn't taken the green flag, he'll have about 5 minutes to figure out what the issue is. That clock kind of starts after he comes around, and gets to the aid of his crew. But with less than 40 cars here, he'll be in the race. There's no concern about missing the race. So we'll have to see if they can remedy the situation on that car.
Take a look at the paint job here, and we mentioned Spire Motorsports. Here's another entry, the 77 of Justin Haley, and he's got Peacock on the hood. And obviously with NBC and Peacock streaming the championship race this weekend, it will be impressive to see that color, those colors right there, and you can stream the race this weekend on Peacock. If you don't have it, make sure to sign up for Peacock. And we see Haley, his first lap was about 27 flat.
This is a teammate car to Corey LaJoie. Haley going full-time with Colleague Racing next year in the Cup Series. So every lap that he gets on the racetrack in a Cup car, even though that's a new car next year, every lap that he gets against this competition, I think it helps him kind of understand how these guys race. It's a different culture, different vibe out on the racetrack with the Cup guys versus the Xfinity Series.
Second lap, faster again, 26.812 for Justin Haley. Still has him third.
Yeah, Justin qualified 8th for the Xfinity race tonight.
Chase Briscoe on the racetrack working the tires on his cars. He pulled out on to the track to get a little heat, scrub the tires somewhat so that the grip is there when he needs it. It's going to cut the racetrack here across the front straightaway. Try to trim a little bit of time.
And body parts. We saw the sparks flying when he went across the apron.
But you see it was a tenth faster just entering turn one. That's just cutting. You see him get loose there. That's just cutting that racetrack made that much of a difference by the time he got to the first corner of the racetrack. So a lot of people may be taking note of that.
Did it hurt him through 1 and 2? We saw him slide, a big slide through 1 and 2.
Yeah, it certainly
no
cost him,
Yeah.
He's going to cut the track again. Watch that bottom. See, he's about a tenth up, almost a tenth up, 7/1000ths, 8/1000ths. Up the racetrack here.
Yeah, look, I think you did that on purpose, though. I think you went up there looking for that resin, that traction compound that's in the middle of the corner, trying to see if that would make his car drive better.
The time that he gave up doing that, he didn't get it back down the back straightaway, but pretty decent corner here. Not fast enough, though, to beat Ryan Newman.
So he's second quickest. That's Chase Briscoe. Everyone right now chasing after Ryan Newman, fastest in qualifying. Qualifying underway from Phoenix Raceway. Ryan Preece went out, and he was fifth quickest. And then it was David Starr who went out after him, just a little bit slower than Preece. And Cody Ware now on the racetrack. His first lap has him in sixth currently. Dave.
Hello, Rick. Checking in with you from pit lane and showing you the 11 car of Denny Hamlin, which was the last car through technical inspection today. His car was among the 4 championship cars that had to make multiple passes through technical inspection. Actually, 3 of the 4. The 9 car of Chase Elliott went through on pass number 1. The 19, the 5, and the 11 went through a second time and all failed. And car chiefs were asked to leave the premises by NASCAR. That's the rule. On the 3rd pass, they all made it, and Denny's was the last to push through. The 33-time pole sitter, Hamlin, will go up 33rd today. Any coincidence? I think so. And we'll see what happens when he rolls.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. All right, Steve, car chief. He goes home. What happens?
Well, so the good thing for the team is these cars are impounded, so they don't have to go back in the garage to see a big slide there out of Eric Jones. So, his job is mostly done, but there are some final adjustments tomorrow you would like for your car chief to be here to oversee. And if you have any sort of issue in the race, we have seen this year, batteries change, alternator belts put on, oil lines change. Your car chief would be the guy that does those sort of mechanical things. So I'm guessing he's down, we're not at Charlotte, so he didn't get to go home. He's down the road here somewhere in the Phoenix area. He's going to have to watch this one from the hotel.
We'll give him great coverage. As we see, Eric Jones re-signed with Richard Petty Motorsports for 2022, and also just announced a new crew chief for him next year.
Yeah, Dave Ellens will be joining him from Richard Petty. Would be joining Richard Petty Motorsports from Junior Motorsports. Crew chiefs for Noah Gragson later tonight, trying to win his 3rd championship for Junior Motorsports with a 3rd different driver.
As we see Garrett Smithley now on the racetrack. Smithley with that Carpets of Arizona Chevrolet.
Smithley raced Bandolero cars at Atlanta Motor Speedway and Lanier National Speedway. Legends cars back in the early 2000s.
It's a 27th start this year for Smithley. Never had this many starts before in a season.
His early racing heroes, Dale Jarrett and Carl Edwards.
That's right. Big Dale Jarrett fan.
Yep. As Smithley wrapping up his second lap here. First lap 28-24. And again, everyone right now chasing after the 6 of Ryan Newman, who went out first, ran a 26:57 for his first lap. And second lap a little bit slower for Garrett Smithley. So he now is in 9th. Qualifying continuing here from Phoenix. Stay with us. Rookie of the Year competitor Anthony Alfredo on the clock for his second lap. He just completes his first one here in qualifying for Cup Series qualifying for tomorrow's race, as Anthony Alfredo has the Boot Barn Ford right now 6th quickest with his first lap, so not a bad first lap, and looks like a little bit of improvement on lap number 2 as he works through 3 and 4 for the final time. Let's go down to the Ruoff Mortgage Peacock pit box with Brad Doherty and DJ. And all right, guys, the championship 4, they're going to be coming out in about 10 to 12 cars. What are we expecting out of them?
Well, the first thing I want to say is it's gotten really nice and balmy down here on the Peacock Pit Box. It feels really good. But I think we're expecting, guys to go out and try to put the car up front, get the best starting position. And the thing I wanted to ask DJ, we've had over 30 Xfinity cars on the track today qualifying. What does that do rubber-wise to these Cup cars in qualifying?
Yeah, as the Xfinity drivers went out, they had a race before that had completely different rubber that was laid down. Now I think the Cup drivers are more at ease. They know that the rubber that is there now is what they're on. So I think you feel it might just be more in your head than what it actually does, but having that sameness there, that what you went out yesterday on this racetrack and what you will experience tomorrow is the same thing. So I think that gives you a little bit more confidence, if nothing else.
Yeah, so Dave, it sounds like a little bit of consistency adds a little confidence.
I think that'd be good. I think Chase Elliott probably appreciates that there were cars on track with the Goodyear rubber before you head out there. What do you expect in qualifying?
I actually think it's going to change a lot from the time the first car went out to the last. The sun's setting really fast, and it's been some pretty hot days, with a lot of sunshine, and that has a big impact on the surface. So I do think you'll probably gain some grip as it goes along. Times, might pick up a little bit, but we'll make the most of our lap and see where we stack up for tomorrow.
See where he stacks up, see where he starts. And by the way, his crew chief, Matt Barnt, is the only car chief, I meant to say, standing, right? We said 3 were asked to leave the track by NASCAR after failures. Matt Barnt is still here. And crew chief Alan Gustafson said, you know what? He should get a lot of credit. He's been kind of beat up this year. Remember, the car chief is the guy who does all the nuts and bolts on the cars, and he's the ones ejected if they fail a third time. They did not, and he's still here.
An interesting turn of things, because last year, if you remember, Chase Elliott had to start in the back because of their issues of getting through tech. They didn't get through tech as cleanly as everyone else. They had to start in the back, but he still came from the back and won the race. Now Chase Elliott is the only of the championship 4 that doesn't have a problem getting through tech inspection.
Now they hope they have a nice smooth qualifying effort, get a good pit pick, and get to go to the front. That is the one thing that they are qualifying. It's not just starting position here in the Cup Series. This will determine the order in which they pick pits, but the championship 4 will go first. So they will go first, second, third, and fourth in the order in which they qualify relative to one another, and then the rest of the field. So there is an advantage of being the fastest of the championship 4. More than just a little bit of an ego boost, you hopefully probably get that number 1 pit stall, I imagine, is where they would choose.
We see Joey Gase on the racetrack now, and his sponsor on this race car, very near and dear to his heart, Donate Life, is the Chevrolet. Lost his mom a couple years ago, and when she passed of a brain aneurysm, she donated all of her organs, and it saved and affected 66 lives. And so Joey has been an advocate of making sure that you donate your organs, make those available, and so he has Donate Life on the car. As we see Joey Gase now, 10th quickest of the 13 that have been out on the racetrack.
Interesting to what Chase said about the sun setting and the track changing. 3 and 4 basically in the shade, but drivers, I want to get your thought. The sun going down what's now the back straightaway used to be a big issue. We see Matty D kind of driving into it right now. Do you think that will affect their performance qualifying as far as vision into turn 3?
Without question. It was always frustrating to have to qualify here. They always wanted to qualify right around this time when the sun was setting perfectly into your eyes down the back straightaway into turn 3. And you cannot see the corner. The windshield kind of turns white. You can't see out of the race car. And, you do your best to try to look at the walls, the inside wall, the outside wall, until you finally get to a point where you enter the corner and the shade drops behind the grandstands, and boom, there's the racetrack. And hopefully you've not overdrove the corner. Hopefully you're aiming toward the bottom line where you want to position the car in the center. It was always really frustrating to be able to hit that part of the racetrack perfectly with all that going on.
To me, the biggest issue was you couldn't see the line, right? The line at the bottom of the racetrack, that's your reference to where you want the car to be. And you couldn't see it. You couldn't see it until after you got there. It was so difficult to drive in the corner with the right speed. You kind of just had to guess where you were.
Yeah.
Big challenge.
And there's literally like a 30-minute window where this is only a problem.
That's right.
And I always was frustrated with NASCAR. Like, can you not start this just a little bit later? Like a half an hour would really make this
30
so
minutes.
much. It'd make it so much easier on all of us, but they never listen.
To use Junior's word, boom, Matt DiBenedetto goes to the top of the list in his qualifying run there. So a 26:54 for DiBenedetto. And again, Matt's future up in the air, still has not determined where he will be able to race next year. When I talked to him about it, he said, I want to be in a great ride. And there's just not a lot of those out there and not a lot available for him. As we see Eric Almirola come across second quickest. It was his first lap in 26:56. Dave.
Catching up with Tyler Reddick. We're having practice and qualifying, Tyler. This is highly unusual this season. After a 10th place practice run, what do you expect in qualifying?
Unsure, honestly, at the moment. Trying to see what the other drivers are doing with their line and what seems to be working. There's some good cars and bad cars mixed with it, so just trying to gather as much information as I can just to give this BetMGM Chevrolet the best starting spot possible. But appears like there's a good amount of grip, more than what we had to work with yesterday in practice. So it's going to continue to change here. More competitive cars get out there and qualify. Hopefully give us a better idea, but just trying to watch everything I can.
Great, thanks. We'll let him watch. We'll send him away. And that's the second time a driver has talked about watching things change, drivers, right? This track appears that, or they believe anyway, that it will transition through qualifying.
That's one thing I always enjoyed about qualifying, or one thing I kind of miss this year is being able to watch the drivers and how they do go around the track. And there are racetracks where you can try different things like this, the front straightaway, right? You go out there and see a couple guys run the normal line, and then somebody cuts the track and they're half a second faster, and you're like, oh, well, now we all got to do that. You watch the whole field. They all start mimicking whatever they see is fast on the racetrack. And so if somebody happens to go up and run quickly in the resin, this high in the middle groove there, you might see a lot of guys take note, jump up there and try it.
Well, he was 13th quickest in his qualifying effort.
We'd have a plan, Steve, and then we'd see somebody do something different. We'd go, hey, should we stay with our plan or should we try what that guy just did?
Yeah, you have to adjust. Pay attention and adjust, and hopefully you kind of guess right.
Some drivers come out a little bit early and enjoy the weather, the scenery here in the Phoenix area. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. did the same and actually proposed to his girlfriend, and now Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is engaged. And so that happened, I believe, on Wednesday. And so news came out Thursday that he is a newly engaged man. So Ricky Stenhouse Jr. will be back with JTG Doherty Racing in 2022.
He's such a cool dude, man.
There it is.
Yeah. So happy for him. What a great location they chose.
I'm going to tell you, I'm glad that's 20 years behind me, because he kind of upped everyone's game right there. So I'm going to do it in this beautiful area in the desert.
With a photographer on hand.
I was going to say,
kidding.
I wonder if Bubba Wallace took the picture for him.
Man.
Planning ahead.
So we see Cole Custer out on the racetrack now.
Frustrating year for Cole Custer. This group of drivers, these rookies that came in, Cole Custer, just without the practice and without the qualifying, it's been so difficult to get themselves comfortable with these race cars and have the crew chiefs understand what they're looking for. They're experimenting during the races as opposed to doing it in practice. A major disadvantage. Cole's got a good run right here, though. Good speed through 1 and 2.
Yeah, his rookie year, he had that win in Kentucky, and this year, I think the organization has struggled, and that's affected all of the cars at Stewart-Haas. And unfortunately, Cole's progression is kind of stalled out for this year, hoping for big things next year.
I think a lot of people are surprised by Ford and the speed that they've been able to produce. Top 4 so far. A week ago, it was Alex Bowman, and this move that Denny Hamlin did not appreciate was on the inside. Maybe the car got a little bit loose. He caught it. Alex Bowman goes on to win the race. Denny Hamlin, after the race, he shows his frustrations. It didn't deter Alex Bowman from enjoying the moment once again. 4 wins already for Alex Bowman in the 2021 season, and he's put together a great season.
But the question is, all right, so Denny called him a hack. He immediately has these hack T-shirts made and ready for sale before we could even get out of the racetrack. Has anybody bought one, right? Who bought one? Did Denny buy one? I know he got asked the question.
Denny said he did not
didn't
buy one. Surprisingly, he did not.
Okay.
But Denny actually took credit for
T-shirt sales.
Yeah,
Okay.
he did. Denny said Denny said, I'm just helping these drivers out. And there he is, Denny Hamlin, one of the championship 4.
What if he'd have worn it on pit road today? Would that have been like a real big move?
Could be under there. Could be under the uniform.
Make sure to join us tonight on NBCSN for Countdown to Green. That's at 8 o'clock Eastern. And then an Xfinity Series championship will be determined from right here at Phoenix Raceway at 8:30. And NASCAR America Post Race Show will wrap it all up, talk to the drivers, enjoy the celebration of one of the championship 4 that will be celebrating that title. Will it be Noah Gragson or A.J. Allmendinger, possibly Austin Cindric or Daniel Hemrick? Those are the 4 drivers that are fighting for the title. And that is again this evening on NBCSN as we see Chris Buescher out on the racetrack in his Roush Fenway number 17. Fords have been strong, as I mentioned. Cole Custer, Matt DiBenedetto, Eric Almirola, Ryan Newman, 4 of the top 5. Alex Bowman went up there and threw his Chevrolet into the 2nd spot with his lap of 26:54. But right now it's 26:43, what Cole Custer posted, measuring everyone off of. Chris Buescher moved from JTG Doherty Racing to Roush Fenway Racing. Now his teammate next year will be Brad Keselowski. Will come over as a driver owner.
That should boost the performance of the organization and give Chris Buescher a new set of eyes and a new set of opinions to sort of improve his career. He's kind of been sitting there doing the same thing for so many years. It's going to be nice for him to have a change. Kurt Busch on the racetrack right now here in this number 1 Monster Energy car, going to drive for Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin next year. His final race in this number 1 car for Chip Ganassi. He's done a great job for this organization. Took him to victory lane a few times.
Final race for Chip Ganassi. Chip Ganassi Racing sold. Chip's been a huge part of this sport. Done a good job. Brought in a lot of young drivers, Kyle Larson being one that we all know very well, especially this weekend. But Chip's been a great part of the sport. Hate to see him go.
Great lap right there for Kurt Busch, and it's fastest, 26:32 for Kurt Busch.
26:32.
Matt McCall, the crew chief, we just heard him talking. He is going to go be crew chief for this guy right here, Brad Keselowski, at Roush Fenway next year.
Those announcements coming out yesterday.
Yeah, Brad's going to move over to Roush, and Austin Cindric racing today for an Xfinity Series championship. Will be driving this number 2 car next season.
Brad sent a message on social media earlier this week. Just, it's been a long relationship at Team Penske, a championship, a lot of successful runs, and we talk a lot about the championship 4 and so many other storylines, but it's going to be an emotional day for Brad to strap into a Team Penske Ford for the final time.
See that tape on the windshield? See that white strip? That is all about turn 3, like we were talking about earlier, just to try to get that glare out of your eyes the best you can.
Keselowski is 3rd quickest, and now the first of the championship 4 takes to the track. Chase Elliott won the race here a year ago, won the championship.
Up the racetrack just a little bit right there. You see losing that time. Not going to be able to gain all that back coming down the back straightaway. Look at the glare. That's exactly what it's like for the driver. Can't see a thing until finally you get in the shade. He makes up some good time here, but has to lift on corner exit.
That's going to go to P1, but that affected this second lap as well. He lifted before the start-finish line, now up the racetrack. Again, wondering if he's up there looking to get in that resin, looking for some grip.
I think the car is so loose, he's just chasing the car wherever it's going. It's going up the racetrack whether he wants it to or not.
Second lap for Elliott's a little bit slower. So his first lap, 26:28.
Good job, P1 right now.
He set the mark of the championship 4. Dave.
Catching up with Denny Hamlin, who watched that lap, and it's a 28. You ran an 84 in practice. I know you were watching lines and things. What are you focused on now?
Just trying to look at what the trade-offs are basically for driving in deep versus getting off the corner. just look at those trade-offs and see what looks like the most optimum line.
Do you have in your mind exactly what you're going to do?
I know what I would like to execute. It's whether my car will allow me to do it, I hope it will, is yet to be determined. But surely we're going to go in there and hope that it will. And if it sticks, we'll be okay.
We'll see in a moment. You start with a plan, right?
Dave, I think that's what's so difficult about qualifying, is that you only have a lap or two to get it done. And you go into qualifying with a plan as a driver. You drive into turn one, and the car doesn't do what you thought it was going to do, and now you're playing catch-up. And that, to me, is why qualifying is difficult. In a 500-lap race, you just adjust. You go to the next corner, you adjust, and you make it happen. But time's already gone. You don't get a second chance. You have to understand what your car can and can't do if you want to optimize it.
Yeah, there's some drivers that are hot lappers, can go out there and make it happen in one lap. There's some guys that are repetition drivers that need more laps to be able to build their way up and sort of complete the perfect lap.
That was me.
Yeah, that was me too, yeah. I was a long-run driver, man. I needed them old tires, and I was going to be fine. But hot lapping was tough to do. Some guys are great at it.
It's a good gauge right here, I think, to see what kind of pace Elliott had. Blaney's been fast all year. Really good 1 and 2.
That thing turned the middle so well.
Still in the green. Loses a little bit on corner entry.
I wonder if it was planned to use that much apron, or if that was that sun you talked about. Junior got him a little too low.
Yeah, just aim down in there, and all of a sudden the sun's not in your eyes anymore, and you're maybe a little bit offline, maybe even by a foot or two, and there's nothing there. You can't make adjustments at that point. You're already committed.
Yeah, because that apron's great, as you mentioned, on old tires. Go in there and make the thing, but you would imagine taped up, it probably turns, on its own with all the grill tape. You probably don't need the help.
Yeah, that apron down there is a major transition from banking on the corner versus the apron compared to 1 and 2. And 3 and 4, it's a big difference. Way more banking on this end of the racetrack. And when you get it off onto the apron, it does not normally help your race car.
Yeah, where Chastain ran just now, right next to the apron is where you want to position the car. You don't want to bump into that apron in turns 3 and 4. But down here, you'll use a lot of it. In the race, you'll see cars all over the apron, all 4 tires down there trying to make their cars work.
Martin Truex Jr. watching, as everyone has talked about, the different lines that these drivers are running. Ross Chastain will join Trackhouse Racing next year, and Daniel Suarez, that organization, purchased the charters from Chip Ganassi Racing, and so now they will be a 2-car field in 2022. So now we see Tyler Reddick making his way out on track.
Tyler's had a great season. I know he probably won't better statistics and results and have a few races back, but the guy has shown some good speed for RCR this year. I think he is solely responsible. I know they work hard. They got Andy Petrie and a bunch of great people there, but he has lit a fire in this organization from a driver standpoint, and it's helped Austin Dillon. Across the board, it's improved the program.
Hard left turn. He goes across the apron.
Reddick will be competing without his crew chief. Randall Burdett's at home on COVID protocol, so unable to make the trip to Phoenix.
See the glare in his helmet? Just shines right in your eyes.
Reddick's first lap was 11th quick. Maybe lost a little bit there through 3 and 4, and he stays in 11th of the 27 drivers that have taken time. Now it's Kevin Harvick's turn on the track. I think this might be the biggest surprise of 2021.
We talk about the amazing season Kyle Larson has. He's in the championship 4. He has a chance. And it shocked me when I was going through all the notes that Kevin Harvick won the same amount of races last year. 9 wins for Kevin Harvick, and somehow winless this season. We've seen drop-offs or tail-offs, but that is an amazing – 9 wins is an amazing year. Never have I been fortunate enough to be part of a year that great. But then all the way to 0, just a shocking change for this 4 team.
Speaking of 9 wins, he has 9 wins here. Let's see, he's way up there than that resin. That's on purpose, trying to see if there's more grip up there.
He's doing all right, hanging in there down the back straightaway, just 0.03 off.
And he's going to lose a little bit there. It goes 10th slower. But that one's fast enough for 5th quickest.
I thought that turn 1 and 2 wasn't very good, but a couple hundredths off down the back straightaway and into turn 3 and 4 lost it. Here's a guy who has had an up and down year, but there were moments where we see the potential in Trackhouse, the organization Daniel Suarez drives for.
Next year, though, is going to be a big shift, right? This year, they're really connected with RCR, basically an internal third car, their equipment being built, but now them buying Chip Ganassi Racing, turning into a two-car organization. From what I understand, talking with people, they're going to be a little more standalone, maybe sharing technology, but the cars are going to be assembled, outside of RCR now with that Chip Ganassi Racing team that's being transitioned over to Trackhouse.
And also young drivers, right? 2 young drivers next year. A lot of times a new owner will want an experienced driver and a young driver. He's got 2 young, very hungry drivers. They're going to be real aggressive over there.
Yeah, Ross Chastain will be the second driver joining Daniel Suarez.
The former 2016 Xfinity Series champion, which we will have an Xfinity Series championship later on this afternoon. Suarez is 10th quickest in qualifying as Larson looks on. Let's go back to the Ruoff Mortgage Peacock pit box. And Brad, I guess I have to start with maybe a weather report. That's the way you started last time.
Yeah, it's cooling off. We're getting a little relief down here on the pit box. And DJ, the sun is going down behind the grandstands, and you and I are sitting here. I mean, it's 10, 12 degrees difference. How does that help, or does it help when it comes to qualifying?
Well, it's still 20 degrees hotter than it is in that booth where these boys are calling. But I will say this, as a driver, you really like to see that. It is making a difference down here in turns 3 and 4, there's no doubt. So I think you can probably attack this just a little bit more. So there is an advantage to going later in this session if you want to pick up a little speed here. Have to be careful. Easy to overdrive into turn 3, and then you lose a lot of time getting back to the throttle.
So it's cooling off, Rick. Just don't screw it up is what DJ said.
Hey, DJ, the thermostat stuck. It's cold up here now. It's like 64.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a dry cold. As we see Dylan take his second lap, and that puts him 16th quickest. Austin Dillon, Tyler Reddick, teammates at Richard Childress Racing. Now Joey Logano out onto the racetrack. Won at Bristol earlier this year, but on dirt. So he hasn't won on concrete or asphalt in 2021.
Yeah, Team Penske perhaps is the story of the last round, right? 3 cars make the round of 8. None are able to make the championship 4. But when you look at it, as you mentioned, Logano only win Bristol Dirt. Brad Keselowski only win Talladega. Now, Ryan Blaney has had 3 wins, and he was probably their best chance. But it's just that's an off year for Team Penske. I think everyone expects them, including themselves. When you talk to Paul Wolfe, he's not happy with a single win.
Think about it like this, too, with the changes way up the racetrack. Ooh. With the changes at Penske, he's now going to be the older veteran driver in that organization, and he will be key in helping them transition into this new car. They will lean on him a lot. I think having the year that they've had, he's ready to ball this thing up and throw it away and move to that next car. Burton?
Look at the right side skirt right in front of the right rear tire as it bottoms out. Going down onto that apron, it flares that side skirt out, and that's exactly what they want because that makes more downforce, makes the car drive just a little bit better. You would not want that thing to bend inward, Steve. You want it to bend out.
Oh, I would just make sure it bends the correct way. Zero doubt about that. Be on board with Denny, watching him go to work. Take a look at his sun, see how it's improved or if it has. Whew. That is a difficult view. Now remember, Pit Pick is comparing the championship 4 to each other. So currently Elliott also on the pole at the moment. Hamlin 7th quick, trying to find a little bit of speed. Currently was in the green into turn 1. Can he get back to the gas? Oh, yeah.
Loses a little bit of time. You see the numbers going the wrong direction.
It's going to be real close. It's going to be all about yep, up the track.
Second lap for Hamlin, 4th quickest.
I think he would wish he had that entry to turn 3 back, don't you, Jeff? Maybe a little too much speed on entry?
Yeah, just a touch too much speed. Got up the track. Again, you have to wonder if he just could not see that line. I feel like the sun's moved far enough back now where the shade, rather, has moved far enough back where it wouldn't affect them, but Denny Hamlin certainly didn't get it where he wanted to.
With the drivers running 2 laps, they can go out on the racetrack and try to put together a clean, conservative first lap, and then the second lap take the risks like Denny did and just see what happens. Go for it. And interesting also riding on board watching Denny fight that race car, how much it's sliding around, even with all of the tape on the grill and the max downforce that they can get with these things. It's still a handful. Christopher Bell down into turn 1.
Teammate to Denny Hamlin with Joe Gibbs Racing. Got his first win earlier this year on the Daytona Road Course. Made his first playoffs. Wasn't able to advance through the playoffs, though. Hey, guys, as we're watching Bell here wrap up his lap, I'm going to say so long to you guys. You're headed down to pit road and get ready for the Xfinity Series Championship.
Yeah, we're going to go down to the grid, so we'll see everybody there in a few. Y'all enjoy the rest of qualifying.
Looking forward to it. Xfinity Championship race. It's going to be fun.
Rick, I didn't think there was a better place in the front of the grid, but I get lucky enough to go on top of that Rattlesnake Hill over there. I climbed up there earlier to check it out. Well, that's a lie. I rode up there earlier to check it out. Great view. William Byron here. This is another one that right this year down. I know they made the playoffs and they couldn't advance, but Rudy Fugle and William Byron hit the ground running. They won Miami in the beginning of the year, and that pace continued. And he had some runs. He went to the Roval, and it didn't work out. He had a little issue with Tyler Reddick getting into the chicane on the backstretch, but he needed to win the race, and he put himself in the conversation. And here he is right here. This is going to be really close to the fastest lap. Loses just a little, right behind his teammate.
Yeah, second quickest, 23:30 for William Byron. And now Kyle Busch will be back out on the racetrack, a two-time champion, but not in the championship 4 this year.
So I don't love the conversation because I believe while it is a team event, we're going to talk about the championship 4 and how they're going to race. But William Byron and Kyle Busch have a very interesting role in this race. Remember, Kyle Busch has two teammates racing for a championship. William Byron the same. How will they race the other cars? How will Kyle Busch, how much is he willing to push Chase Elliott around, push the other Kyle Larson around? You know, remember, it was a Bowman Hendrick Chevrolet into Denny Hamlin, the Gibbs Toyota, a week ago. So while it is a championship 4 group of drivers, it is 2 organizations with 8 cars on the racetrack battling. And if Rick Hendrick and Joe Gibbs, you don't want anything nefarious, but they don't want to see Kyle Busch moving over and Chase Elliott go, right. They want to see good, clean racing out of their teammates.
Kyle Busch's first lap, 15th quickest. And still about 0.2 of a second off of what we've seen out of Chase Elliott. Second lap, 11th for Kyle Busch, 26:50.
Here's my sleeper, Rick, if you could call him a sleeper.
I was going to say, I don't know if we can call Martin Truex Jr. a sleeper, but yeah, okay.
He's a champ. He won here in the spring. Won both Richmonds. He wrecked running second in the rain at New Hampshire. Everybody talks about those other 3, and it seems like no one is talking about Martin Truex Jr. I had concern with their radio communication. James Small and Martin Truex, they get fire on the radio. I ran into James yesterday, had this conversation. He was kind of like, that's just how we do it. No, like it was even keel, no problem. So his comfort increased my confidence in what this team's going to be able to pull off. We'll see if they can do it right here in qualifying. Pretty decent turns 1 and 2.
You called him a sleeper. I think it's because we really haven't talked a lot about the season Martin Truex Jr. has put together. He's put together a very good season. And as he crosses the stripe there, it will keep him in 11th. So that pushes Kyle Busch down a spot. So of the championship 4, Elliott is first, 5th, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr. 11th, and now it's Kyle Larson's turn on the track.
Yeah, Truex has to be disappointed with that speed. As I mentioned, I don't think it hurts his championship for the whole day, but that green flag as he goes down into turn 1, 3, and 4 wide, as Larson runs up into that grippy area, gets in the gas. A absolute monster lap. You ask what can happen in qualifying? If he can run this good of a lap in qualifying, this is going to be disheartening.
Lap 1,
other
Steve.
3.
Lap 1, he blows them out of the water in lap 1.
Pull.
It's not even close between these 2.
Oh, man. Kyle Larson, 26-11 to Chase Elliott's 26-28.
I'm not real sure, Rick, but I think this young man right here is going to make a career out of this driving.
Wow.
He's pretty quick. I mean, he is doing things. It's just a remark. He has 9 wins. You heard his crew chief. Great lap. I mean, and when you talk to Kyle, he's almost indifferent. He's like, yeah, just so calm, so collected.
I asked Kyle, I asked all the Championship 4 drivers earlier, I said, okay, what's one word that really describes this weekend for you? What would it be, that one word? And he kind of said, you know what, I don't know. And so I gave him some options. I said, all right, what about focus, relaxed, nervous, champion? What's it going to be? And he goes, I guess I'm pretty relaxed. That was it. Yeah, I'm pretty relaxed.
You led the witness, I think, there, Rick. You led the witness.
Oh, my goodness.
That's nearly let's call it a tenth and a half, 1 point or 0.16 seconds. That is at a 1 mile racetrack, that is a monster lap by Kyle Larson.
So impressive. He's put together an incredible season as we're watching Michael McDowell again, the way he started the season off. A career win for him at the Daytona 500.
That's a great point, Rick. We forget 36 races ago, he was the driver standing in the trial at Daytona celebrating the win, the biggest win of his career. Really, truthfully, other than the 4 that have a championship chance, the biggest win in any driver's career is going to be the Daytona 500. It is the Super Bowl of auto racing for a reason, and it should be celebrated.
And that wraps up qualifying. So McDowell is going to be 28th. So the Championship 4 goes Larson, Elliott, Hamlin, Truex Jr. That's the way they will pick pits. And we will chat with a few drivers when we come back to Phoenix as qualifying has just wrapped up. Make sure to join us on NBCSN tonight, 8 o'clock, countdown to green, Xfinity Series Championship right here at Phoenix Raceway. It will be decided this evening, and then we will have all the coverage after the race. NASCAR America post-race show. Take a look at this. When we came in, Steve, over 5,400 campsites. It is packed here on 290 acres. What an incredible job they have done.
It's breathtaking. You kind of, leave the city, come down, and you come up over that high bridge, you start to see the racetrack, and then to the right, it's as far as you can see campers. We drove through there. They are fired up. There's some excitement in the campground. The whole weekend, Phoenix, the city of Phoenix and Phoenix Raceway has done a great job of embracing this championship weekend. The signage, even at the airport when we landed, it's just a big event town, right? You see Super Bowls here. You see other big sporting events. I mean, look at that right here. It
is a great event. Speaking of things that are great, Dave caught up with one of the best laps, definitely the best lap we have seen in qualifying. Kyle Larson wins the pole. Dave's with it.
Well, and I thought the 26.60 in practice for second best was pretty great. And then an 11 for the pole. Where'd that come from?
I don't know. It's nice to go out second to last there and kind of have a benchmark to shoot for. I haven't seen the lap and where it was better, but Chase, got his right sides in the resin on his second lap, I think, and it didn't look bad. So I thought I'd try it, and there's a few others that did too. So I felt like it'd eventually get a little cleaner for me. So I was able to just carry a lot of speed. I think through 1 and 2. I'm sure he got through 3 and 4 probably a little bit better, but either way, really cool to get a pole and helps pit stall selection, so that's nice.
Yeah, your timing's really good. How much a point of emphasis was this for you guys this weekend?
Not much emphasis, no. I mean, once we found out that the final 4 guys got to pick the first 4 stalls, it kind of made it qualifying a little less important, but we still wanted to be the first of those 4. So, yeah, it'd be good going from pit stall 1. Really happy about our HinderCars.com Chevy. It was weird having practice yesterday. I think all of our confidence probably was less after it. So good to come here and get a pole and get the weekend start off on the right foot. So still a long day tomorrow. Track will go through a big change. It already looks different out there than what I'm familiar with. So we'll see how it goes.
All right, congrats. His 10th career pole comes at a great time, Rick. And interesting how he says it wasn't necessarily a point of emphasis, but when there's something to go after, Larson's there.
He definitely is. As you see the starting grid, 2 of the Championship 4 will start on row 1 between Larson and Chase Elliott, 2 Hendrick drivers. Denny Hamlin back there in row 3, a little further back in row 6, Martin Truex Jr.
You see Matty D back there in row 8, right? Driver's still looking for a job next year. See how that works out. Ryan Newman, no news announced what he's going to be doing, so we're not sure, but we know that car is going to be filled by Brad Keselowski, so a lot of big names with some, just unknown plans for next year.
Justin Haley will be running full-time in the Cup Series next year. All right, Steve, so the 4 have been determined as far as starting positions. Is that a confidence builder? Does it give you any added excitement going into the race tomorrow?
It's just one more step of the process. It's going to be a long, eventful grind for those Championship 4. But tonight, we have those Championship 4 in Xfinity. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah, countdown to green again on NBCSN. Join us over there right now.